Hello and welcome. My name is Mike Barber, and I am the artistic director and founder of 10 Tiny Dances. And this video is an effort to support you in making the strongest application you can make for 10 Tiny Dances in Beaverton. It involves some essential information that adds to what you'll find in the proposal. I'd like to give the other members here a chance to introduce themselves too.
Hi, everybody. My name is Subhashini Ganesan Forbes. I'm a choreographer with a foundation in Bharatanatyam and an artistic director. Also, I have the honor of having performed and choreographed for many past 10 Tiny Dances.
Hi, everybody. I'm Catherine Longstreth. I'm also a choreographer, and I've performed with 10 Tiny in the past, and we're really excited to help you guys write the best possible applications that you can.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Fuji. I am a taiko artist, co-director of Unit Soulsel, and I also have been a past choreographer at 10 Tiny Dances.
Hi, everyone. My name is Debbie Thompson. I'm a program coordinator in the arts program here at the City of Beaverton. And I want to start off by just encouraging you, highly encouraging you, to please, please, please read every single word of the material in the call to artists. It's very important. There are schedules, there's tons of information to help you write a better application. For example, I just wanted to point out that there are 3 major commitments. Number 1, you will, if you get selected, you will be attending an informational and site meeting it's usually in early May. And then number 2, there will be conceptual reviews. And Mike, would you like to speak a little bit about what those are?
Yes, absolutely. This is a new thing we're doing this year, where each selected artist will have a one-on-one meeting with myself and Michelle Fuji in an effort to give you a chance to show your work in progress. The meetings will happen a month or so, late spring, a month or so before the performance. You'll have a chance to show your work in progress, as well as receive some feedback and support in addressing the challenges and the opportunities of the tiny stage.
And lastly, of course, there's the event. And on the event day, there will also be a full-on rehearsal. So those 3 commitments are really important in order for you to get your full payment. And all of those details are in the application, the call to artist application information. So I just wanted to point out, using this as an example, that it's really important to read everything in the application so that you can, like I said before, write the best possible submission that you can.
And we have some tips for making a successful application. First of all, past experience with 10 Tiny Dances is helpful. However, all proposals will be read equally. So be sure that you speak directly to all questions in the application regarding the piece that you're proposing for this example of 10 Tiny Dances.
We'd really like you to clearly address how you plan to use the tiny stage. The dimensions, of course, are 4 by 4, and it's 18 inches above the ground. And working within the constraints of the stage is a core concept for 10 Tiny Dances. So your proposal will certainly be stronger if you're able to address how the stage really plays with your choreography and your creation.
And as you're writing, as many details as you can give about the piece that you're developing, that will really help the panelists be able to picture in their mind what it is that you're imagining. Those details might include the style of the work, the music, the energy level, the number of performers you're considering using, the energy level, the costumes, the props, the use of the stage. You might talk about whether it's going to be really funny or really dramatic in tone. All of those things will really help people be able to imagine it, even if you haven't exactly nailed down some of those choices. it's still really important to include as many as you can.
And your video sample is a very powerful way to witness your work, your strength as a choreographer, as a performing artist. So your video sample is really, really helpful if it could be similar to the work that you're proposing in the application. It can be a work in progress, like a rehearsal of your work. It can also be an essence of the piece as well.
And those are some tips for doing a strong application. We're going to open this up now to a conversation between myself and Catherine and Suba and Michelle, who collectively over the last 21 years of 10 Tiny Dances have a lot of experience with this project. So we're each going to speak just a little bit about our own experience of artistic experience, creative experience of making work for the tiny stage. And maybe I'll jump in and start. The thing that comes to my mind, I've created work and performed for many of the really hundreds of 10 Tiny Dances events that have happened since 2002. And the thing that gets me most excited when I think about that is the variation of how people have used the space of the 4x4 stage. Sometimes, and these have been some of my favorites, sometimes that has involved alteration of the staging somehow. As long as it does not change the constraint of the 4x4 stage, which is a really important idea for 10 Tiny Dances. Alteration of the stage is really interesting and exciting to me. I've enjoyed tilting the stage on its side and dancing along the top edge. That happens during the piece and moves some more. So the physical, dealing with the physicality of that 4x4 space is exciting to me. Yeah, who else has a memory, a bit about their own creative process?
I'll jump in. Let me
Okay.
start. You know, when I think about 10 Tiny Dances, I think for me, collaboration comes to mind immediately. My first 10 Tiny Dances was, of course, when Michelle Fuji invited me to do a collaboration for 10 Tiny Taiko Dances, which was an entire program where it was featuring the concepts and the ideas and different elements of taiko and Japanese folk dance, and then a slew of other collaborations. So collaboration is something that I think of, honestly, when I think of the constraint of the stage, because it really allows for some deep, interesting, and curious work to emerge. And the other thing I would also say is, as a person whose foundation is in Bharatanatyam, when I began, I was curious about what does stretching mean? What does constraint of the stage mean? How do I use the stage not as a performance space, but as a space to create and to be discovering new ways to bring my art form maybe into spaces that I might be uncomfortable with or I have never even thought about. So it is something that I think about still. Even I think I've perhaps done about 6 or 7 10 Tiny Dance choreographies. And one of the things that I was thinking about before this conversation was I stop my brain from feeling like I have to educate the public in knowing what my art form is about. And I start really delving into the essence, as Michelle was saying earlier, the essence and the creativity and the power of my art form. And that's personally served me a lot.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in because I immediately go to sort of the very first time I witnessed 10 Tiny Dances. And it was actually my very first performance program that I actually saw in Portland. So number one, it was memorable. but I remember thinking about and witnessing the 4x4 stage and how it was creatively addressed and utilized. And I am a taiko artist. If you're unfamiliar with taiko, these are big drums. Oftentimes you see this with lots of people on larger stages. And I remember witnessing this and going, wow, what would it feel like to play taiko on a 4x4 stage? Sort of the antithesis of how you might typically witness it, but also how can this be a provocation for my creativity? And I remember speaking to Mike, and when we were first beginning this collaboration of building 10 tiny taiko dances, I remember saying, how can, or Mike saying, how can this 4x4 not be just a limitation, like a constriction, but a catalyst for creativity? And then this whole idea of possibility and staying authentic in the art form became this huge amount of imagination. And I just want to encourage everyone that this 4x4 is a conversation. It's an opportunity to really think about your art form in maybe a new framework, but still staying authentic to what you do and the work that you present.
Yeah, I guess I'll just jump in and say that the work that I did for 10 Tiny was a piece that had been previously performed on a traditional stage with traditional lighting. And one aspect or one part of the process that really helped me redesign and redevelop and re-choreograph the piece for 10 Tiny was rehearsing on the stage. And I borrowed the stage from Mike and had it in my basement, and I worked on it a lot. And I ended up changing, you know, all of the choreography, and the conceit was still the same, but I also thought and changed a lot some of the costume elements, because the way that you enter and then approach the stage and the way that you then descend and leave the stage is ended up being really part of the performance, because it wasn't like lights on and off, or at least that's how, in my case, that's how I was using it as well, so that there was, yeah, an approach and a descent from the stage in addition to whatever you were doing with the stage. So
I'm thinking, as this has been lovely to hear the ways that the tiny stage and the level of creativity that has come into this project. I also wanted to say that sometimes for me, the elegance of dance created for the small space, the simple elegance of dancing in the small space is really satisfying as well. So again, I circle back to what I said at the beginning. The most exciting thing for me about this project has been the range of application of the range of ideas that have come out on the tiny stage, from the simple to the complex, to the solo to the group pieces, to the levels of energy, levels of creativity. It's been fabulous. Does anybody else have another word? Okay, I want to thank you all, and I wish all applicants success this year.